Hi and welcome. My name is Rob Scott from UC Today, and in today's session I'm joined by Nicolas Brunel, Executive Vice President of the Communication Business Division at Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise. And in this session we're going to be talking about the changing face of enterprise communication. So welcome Nicolas, how are you today?
I'm excellent. Hello Rob, and good day everyone.
Good to see you again. Really interesting session this, isn't it? I mean, just to set the scene, it's been a challenging year for us all. Lots of highs and lows for organizations and employees. And, technologies like video, team collaboration apps and unified communications as a service are now kind of the new norm, aren't they? So I was keen to kind of talk firstly around digital transformation and just get your viewpoint on, what's happened recently and have organizations, changed their digital transformation plans, or were they simply accelerated? What's your view?
So yes, indeed. I mean, what we have lived over the past few months is quite an incredible moment, and for enterprises it has been a shock to start with, and on a number of topics where companies were speaking about doing a transformation, it had to start for some of them, and for all clearly accelerate, and we've seen that on different dimensions. The first critical element which has happened is all the notion of virtuals and the fact of remote working. Employees from one day to the day after had to change the way of engaging with their own company, with their colleagues, and to put that in place. So it has been really key to be able to have remote working in place very quickly for a number of enterprises that in some cases were not or only partially ready for that. The second dimension that we've seen in the transformation of enterprises and the acceleration is all about the customer interactions, all what has to be done in order to take care of the customers, because from one day to the day after, everybody has looked at how are we going to work, how are we going to engage with enterprises during that time. And so the people that were used to exchange with customers had to change the way of communicating, because first they were no more into the enterprise, and the enterprise had to be ready to provide the tools in some extent, or the workarounds in some others, to deliver that. And all of that have forced customers and the leaders of those enterprises to think about this transformation, to think about how to enable the employees, to enable the customer services to deliver what customers do need and what employees do need as well, in order to please and serve the customers.
So normally it takes a structured plan to deploy things like remote working technology and new customer experience technologies. So this almost happened overnight, didn't it? That these services or these technologies needed to be deployed. So have enterprise communication strategies had to change? Do they now need to rethink their strategies? Because surely these technologies were deployed very quickly, so maybe slightly off the original plan. What's your view on that point?
So clearly there is a need to rethink or reshape a bit what has been done sometime in an urgency mode in a number of cases. But I would say that for a number of enterprises, they had some basis. So we did build and were capable of accelerating some of those transformations. But there is a need indeed to think deeply the why we do those changes. Because basically in some cases, we have equipped customers with tools, with capabilities, but now it has really to be integrated into their way of engaging, into their business processes, to make that more natural. And that what has been accepted sometimes as being a temporary solution, a workaround situation, is becoming part of the strategy of the company. And the two dimensions that I was mentioning have to be covered. They have to be covered in the space of the customer engagement with colleagues. So where basically we need to ensure that we have no more one way of working in the enterprise, but we have the right way of working in the enterprise depending on where we are and what technology is available to us. We're speaking about remote working, and when we say remote working, it could be home working, but also on the move working. And this is where basically enabling connecting technology inside the enterprise while still delivering high level of services, richness of services towards the employees of the customers is critical. So introduction of the cloud really helps in that domain. All the element of collaboration, but in a collaboration that enables to really connect all the employees into that context, to basically manage to blend office users with remote workers. And when we say office users, often we mostly think about people who are behind a desk. But let's not forget that in an enterprise, not everybody is behind a desk. You need to have equipments which do allow people to make their work. And if they are on a production site, they need to have the correct devices that will allow them two things. Of course, to communicate, to engage, to get the support they need, but also sometimes help them for their own safety in that context. We have seen that, and this is also one of the learning, to take care of the safety of people when they are on site. And we have devices which remains connected to all the rest of the enterprise, which does help. So basically through that, working on the efficiency and ensuring the human touch, to have a contact between the people, despite the fact that we will definitely change the paradigm of the enterprise, the borders between the site, the remote workers, and make all of that still the enterprise, the place of sharing the values of the enterprise, and in a very efficient manner for the customers. That's the first dimension. The second dimension of the strategy, like I was saying earlier, is about all the customer engagement. We have seen people during the crisis willing to get in touch with people, speaking to someone. So basically for enterprises, what it does bring in terms of strategy thinking is all about the flexibility, changing the way of engaging along the time and depending on the needs, to be able to change from a pure self-service approach to a totally customer touch approach, or blending both. And I think that through multi-channel, providing the capability for employees or for customers to engage whatever the device they have, whatever the connectivity they have, really helps to create that connection between the customer and the enterprise. And in that context, the enterprise has somehow the duty to ensure that they will fix the concern of the customer during that period of time in a very efficient manner, and managing to connect what I would qualify as being a front customer person with a back office person is also key. And it will help, again, to put this human touch into the connection between an enterprise and their customers, to really feel, really care about the customer, what they do need, and address their concerns. So we love all of that. We are sure that this transformation, if well integrated into the reflection of the leaders of the enterprise, will allow them to basically work on a more efficient organization for the future, but also a more flexible organization for the future that will be able to react in a more natural manner in case of future elements may happen, not necessarily a crisis, but environment changes that would allow enterprises to always take care better of their customers and employees to have better business outcomes.
Super. And in terms of setting this plan and thinking about what needs to be done and what's going to have the greatest impact, what will have the greatest impact in the short term, and what would you push a little bit more further down the road into a long-term strategy?
Well, the first thing is to still continue to think about people's safety first. I think this is still around us. We need to take care of the safety of people, and that for customers like for employees. And for employees, that's to continue to allow them to work efficiently, potentially remotely, for the enterprise. Take that into account, thinking about coming back to the office, because not everybody is back to an office today, and make sure that it is working. For the customers, in that context, is always to focus on the outcome what will I bring to those customers? How will I interact? How my interactions with them will remain really safe in what I do deliver to them. And that's really one of key elements. To take that into account in a context of flexibility, adaptation of this element along the time, in order to think longer term, to go with what do I learn today that I will be able to capitalize on in order to develop my new normal, because this will not be coming back to yesterday. It will be something new, a normality, but different from the one we had before. And all those elements of basically capability to provide this flexibility, modernize the environment of the enterprise, connect what I have today to the cloud, enabling the anywhere capability of employees to connect safely to the enterprise, basically to take care of the data of our customers in a safe manner as well, is really critical in terms of this transformation, the longer term element. So think about modernizing, think about the future topology that will have to support this new normal. Hybrid is really key in that context to connect all the dimensions of the enterprise, and think about simplicity, new models as well, about what did I learn in terms of launching new things, capability to embark new services very quickly. And I would say that the new technologies, the new models like subscription do help to change in that context, and can, in a number of cases, also be an opportunity to generate savings for the enterprise long term. So really this combination of short and mid-term approach.
That's some really good points there. Thank you. And let's talk about the role that ALE or Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise plays in this, enterprise communications plan or strategy. Could you tell me a little bit how you work with customers and your partners to help solve these challenges?
You mentioned a very good thing. I mean, you said your customers and partners, and that's really key in that context. On our side, basically, we do master the technology. We have basically capability to advise, to share good practices that we see around the globe. But we have also an amazing network of partners which are competent, trained, and certified on our solution, on the capabilities, and being able to be the advisors of the customers to really tailor the solution to what they do need. And in that context, if I may, I can take one example of one of our key partners, and I will take a French example in that case, in the domain of the healthcare, with basically a group of hospitals that, with the crisis, had to rethink the way of engaging with the patients. And when we say patients, there is, of course, the on-site element when people do come, but also the number of calls and agents that you do need. And there has been a work and a deployment in less than 4 days of a full capability for remote workers to allow the hospital as well to have agents remotely. And so was deployed in a very secured manner, remote solutions with physical phones, secured with VPN, with capabilities on the platforms, allowing people to take calls. So we had basically a flexible and mixed environment of hard phone for use for agents that were full-time taking calls for customers, but also soft phone for others, allowing the flexibility to take the load when high peak-off calls were coming while being super flexible. So this was very efficient for them, combined with extra collaboration, allowing people remotely to exchange and be efficient while not being seeing one another. And it was one of the key things which we did accompany on top of that with session of remote training, a bit like we do today through video, to have trainings delivered to all the agents about the new practices, how to make your activities today. And this was done thanks, of course, to the technology we have with the combination of our PBXs, our capabilities, Rainbow itself, and also our partner that managed to deploy all of that in terms of the physical deployment in less than 4 days. So really, this mastering of the technology plus the local capabilities of the partner makes a big difference.
That's great to see, and I know you've got a fantastic portfolio of products and solutions, at ALE, and it holds testament to the a partner network, doesn't it? When you can deliver solutions like this quickly at speed. So super. Just to round up today's session, I believe you've got an ebook available that's just recently been released. Tell us more about that.
Yes, indeed. We have an ebook where basically we have decided to share all those practices, but also the example of customers. And the name of this ebook is Enterprise Communication in a New Normal Era. And I do invite all of you to download that. And I think that the link will be available very around us.
A really valuable resource. So yes, absolutely recommend you download the ebook. It's been great to see you today, Nicolas. Thank you for sharing some great insights with us. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. It's been great to see you. If you've enjoyed today's session, please do give us a like or a share on social media. But for now, thanks for watching.